My dear students, take my heartiest welcome to you. According to the e-learning class which is conducted by the government of Odisha, in our the last classes we have completed the unit 1 and we started the unit 2. In the unit 2, we discussed about the scalar and the vectors. What is the scalar, what is the vector, what is the basic difference between them, and what is the important definition of the vector, which is very clear to you, because generally idea we have that a vector is that one which has its the magnitude as well as the direction, but that is not here the 100% correct, and a vector is that one which will satisfy the vector law of here the additions, because current also has its the magnitude and directions, but that is not here the vector quantity, because when the two currents are to be added, either they are coming with here the any angle between them, the resultant will be their addition. But for your the vector in the numerical addition, but for your the vector, if that two currents will be the perpendicular, and if they will make the certain angle less than of the 180, or your the in the same direction, the result will be not of the that one. So, in our the last classes we discussed about your the addition of the vectors in your the two parts. One is your the triangle law of the vector addition and the parallelogram law of the vector addition. And those who came here the as your the first class for this one, and those who are the attending regularly, take your the pen and the paper and make the notes, and which I am providing before you. So, today's the table of your the contents is that what is your the unit vector and what is its the importances. The second one is the component or the resolution of the vectors, and the third one is the difference between the vectors. These things we will discuss today. So, the first thing is what is the unit vector and its the importances. So, today we will discuss first the unit vector. Unit vector. Regarding this unit vector, we know that there are the different types of the vector classification we know, like your the equal vector, negative vector, co-initial vector, coplanar vector, and your the unit vector, and your the perpendicular or the orthogonal vector or the zero vectors. So, out of them one of the vector we have discussed as your the unit vector. What is the unit? Unit means your the one. So, a vector having magnitude as 1 and is directed along the provided vector, is known as your the unit vector. Its magnitude is your the 1. Means suppose this is a vector, and this vector we have taken as your the say your the a vector, and this a vector instead of taking in this direction, suppose you will take in this direction. This is also your the same a vector. Suppose this is also your the same a vector. But what is the unit vector? You know that a vector have your the magnitude and your the direction. A vector have your the magnitude and direction. As I said that magnitude and direction when a vector have, that is not the 100% correct. It will satisfy your the vector law of your the addition. So, if a vector is your the a vector, then it is the magnitude. Magnitude means a vector mod. This is the magnitude, and the direction which we have written here, that direction you see, this is the unit vector. A vector having the magnitude as 1 and is directed along your the provided vector. So, this provided vector means either this is the provided vector, this is the provided vector, or this is the provided vector, and it has your the different magnitudes. Suppose I divided the magnitude likewise. So, this is your the 1 unit, this is your the 1 unit, this is the 1 unit, this is 1 unit, this is 1 unit, this is 1 unit. So, how much units? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, it has your the 6 units, means it's the magnitude is your the 6 and it's the direction, and the direction if in this way means it is along your the x axis, then that direction is taken as your the I cap. Along the y axis, that is your the j cap. Along the z axis, that is the k cap, we will discuss. So, that direction is your the unit vector. So, a unit vector is generally represented with a cap above that one. Suppose we have written here, this is your the unit vector. If this is your the unit vector, suppose the vector is your the x, then x with your the cap, then that will be the unit vector. So, here the vector we have taken is your the a, therefore, it is your the a cap. This a cap is known as your the unit vector. So, this a cap is how much? Now, this a cap will be your the a vector divided by a vector with your the mod, means the unit vector of any one is equals to the same vector divided by the same vector magnitude, that is known as your the unit vector. So, this is your the a vector and this is the a vector magnitude, both are corresponding for your the same a. Therefore, though this is the ratio, it has your the no unit as well as it is the no dimension. Therefore, one of its the importance is that a unit vector is the lack of the unit and your the dimension. Are you clear to my students? So, this is the fundamental definition about your the unit vector. The same unit vector, suppose in this direction, means this is also your the 2, 3, 4, 5 and your the 6 parts, and this is along your the y axis. Suppose this is your the y axis, this is your the x axis. So, along the y axis, the unit vector which we have to take, that is your the j cap, and this is in your the I cap, and this unit vector has its the components. Components means along x axis, the unit vector is your the I cap. Along y axis, unit vector is your the j cap, and along your the z axis, unit vector is your the k cap. So, how that I, j, k to be your the represent? Let us see that one. Suppose we have taken the 2 dimensions. This is your the x, this is your the y, and this is your the z. Suppose we will go for your the third one. So, this is your the x, this is the y, this is the z. So, if the unit vector is taken along your the x axis and the unit vector is taken along the y axis and the unit vector taken along your the z axis, they have its the different representation. Along the x axis, that is your the I cap. Along the y axis, that is your the j cap. Along the z axis, that is your the k cap, and they are known as the components along your the that axis. And though this is the x, y and the z, x, y, z are called your the Cartesians. So, these unit vectors are also known as your the unit Cartesian vectors representation. So, if we will go for your the note, let us come for your the screen representation. You see, a unit vector is a vector that has your the unit magnitude or magnitude as your the 1 and is drawn in the direction of the given vector, as I have written along the direction of the provided vector. On your the screen, you are looking that there are the 2 colors of your the arrow marks. One is your the a vector, another one is also the a vector, but one has your the green color, another one is your the red color. The green color is your the total vector, as we have taken as your the a vector in your the black color on this your the whiteboard, and for its the unit vector, that is taken as your the a red arrow. That red arrow, that is its the unit vector. So, it is the lack of both units and the magnitudes. And the third one is its only purpose to specify the direction in your the space. Next one here the Cartesian unit vectors, the Cartesian unit vectors as we have seen, that is along the x axis I, along the y axis it is the j, and along the z axis it is the k. So, those who have followed this one, let us now give the answer to my question. This is the x axis, this is its the opposite, means that is its the minus x axis. This is its the y axis. So, this will be the minus y axis, and this is your the z axis, and this one will be the minus z. You see, on the right side this is the plus, on its the left side that is the minus. On the above this is the plus, on the below that is your the minus. This is your the z1, means this z and your the x and the y, they are mutually perpendicular to each other. That is the main thing of your the 3 dimension. So, if this is the z, then that is your the minus z. So, along the x axis, if this is the I cap, along the y axis that will be your the minus I cap. Along the y axis that is the j cap, along your the minus y axis that is the minus j cap, and this is your the k cap, and along this axis that is equals to your the minus k cap. So, likewise you have to symbolize your the unit vectors. Suppose the question is, this is a vector A, then find the unit vector. Then find the unit vector. If this is the A vector, then its unit vector will be the A cap, and this A cap will be the A vector divided by your the A vector mod. Instead of asking question in this way, if this is your the P vector, this is a P vector, find the unit vector, means instead of the A you have to take in this is your the P. So, P cap is equals to your the P vector divided by your the P vector mod. And in some of the books you will find that instead of writing your the P vector, instead of writing the P vector, and that will be your the, likewise it is written here the P, means the P vector in a bold form, the P vector or the any vector in a bold form if it represent, then there is no need to supply the arrow mark. Are you clear to my student? So, if the P vector mod, if this is equals to your the P, and this one mod is also your the P. So, this bold P is equals to your the lighter P with your the arrow mark. So, if in the book a bold letter is provided, if there is no arrow mark above that one, you clear that with that bold one it is a vector 1. So, this is about its the unit vector. Though it is the ratio, it has its the no unit or your the no dimension. Therefore, it is the lack of the unit and the dimension, it is one of its the important characteristics. So, this is about the unit vector. After knowing this unit vector, we will go to your the next one, that is your the component or the resolution of the vector. This is the most important one. Component and resolution of the vector. Component or resolution of a vector. So, here the question comes, what is a component and what do you mean by the resolution? You probably heard the name of the component. Suppose a instrument is there. For an example, a fan is in your room, but that fan is not your the functioning. Suppose someone will ask you, so why this fan is not functioning? Now, some of the components is not available in the market, and that component is nothing but it is the part. So, when the different parts of that one to be taken together, the whole one will be its the form. So, if a vector is taken, suppose this is a vector, it has its the components, means this vector to be divided into number of parts in such a way that if all that parts are to be taken together, then that will be its the original vector. Suppose any instrument, any instrument, it has its the different parts. Suppose it has the 10 parts, that 10 parts to be are the separated, and when all that 10 parts are taken together and they arranged in the same manner where it to be, then that one will be the that instrument. Similarly, if a vector is there, it to be resolved into the different parts, then that type of the resolution is known as its the component. Means suppose this is your the x axis, this is the y axis, and this is a vector I have taken. And when this vector to be divided into so many types I am saying, if their collection are taken together, then that will be its the components. As we discussed resolution or it is the components. So, it is that process of the splitting a vector into two or the more vectors in such a way that their combined effect is same as that of your the given vector, that we discussed. Means if a vector is there, suppose we have to named it as a vector, let this is your the A and this is your the B. And this AB, if it is a vector, suppose that vector is your the R vector say, and that R vector will be split into its the different parts, and to split into its different parts, draw a perpendicular on your the x axis, draw the perpendicular on your the y axis, and let the foot of their perpendiculars are your the C and your the D say. So, the question is, if AB is a vector which is represented by your the R vector, then its the components will be your the SC vector and your the AD vector. Means this AB vector is divided into your the two parts, one is the SC vector, one is your the AD vector. So, what was its definition? If a vector to be split into two or the more, this is the important one, a vector, suppose this is a vector or this is a vector, it to be split either two, at least it will the two, means suppose I cut it, so it becomes your the two parts. Similarly, I cut here, so it becomes your the two parts. So, the minimum will be the two and the maximum will be as we desiring. So, therefore, this one means either a vector is split into two or the more components in such a way that all to be taken together, the result will be the same vector one. Then that different parts will be called its the components. So, here if AB vector is split into your the SC vector and your the AD vector. So, this SC vector is the one of the component of your the R vector, and this is also one of the component of your the R vector. So, if this R vector, this component will be your the Rx, and for this one, this component will be your the Ry. So, along the x axis, that is your the Rx, along the y axis, that is your the Ry. So, this Rx vector, this is your the x component, and Ry vector, this is your the y component. So, if this is your the x component, this is your the y component, to our the definition, the addition of these two vectors must be your the same vector. Means your Rx vector, this SC vector, you see this SC vector, that is equals to your the Rs vector, this AD vector, that is your the Ry vector. The sum of these two must be your the original vector, that original vector is your the AB vector, means that to be your the R vector. Sir, is it true? Let us now go for my Pandava formula. Pandava formula, as I explained before you, during the addition of the vectors. How the vectors to be the added? Suppose the two vectors are there. These are the two vectors. This is your the Ram vector. This is your the Ravan vectors. So Ram vector is the R, Ravan vector is the R dash. How these two vectors to be the added? What was its the formula? The first step is take the first vector, put the second vector over the first, put the second vector over the first. How you have to put? Because this vector has its the head and the tail, and where to be the put? The tail of the second vector and the head of the first vector, they to be the coincide. Means this second vector to be placed over the head of the first such a way that the tail of the second and the head of the first, they to be the coincide. This was the second one. What is the third point? If any other vectors are there, nothing here, the only the two vectors to be added. Addition will be possible for the number of the vectors. If the third vector is there, you have to start at third, then fourth, then fifth. Likewise, we have discussed about the polygon law for the vector addition. So though it has the two vectors are the these two. This is the third step. What is the fourth step? Just join your the tail of the first with the head of the last. Tail of the first with the head of the last. You have to join that one, and that one will be its the addition result. If this is your the Ram vector, this is your the Ravan vector, then Ram plus Ravan, Ram plus Ravan will be your the net one. So this net vector will be your the resultant vector. Suppose that is your the R double dash. Similarly, you look here, what are its the components? Rx vector and Ry vector. Now we have to add Rs vector and the Ry vector. In your the figure, Rx vector is this one. Ry vector means in this perpendicular way. So this is your the Ry vector. These to be your the added. Means if this is your the first vector, over the head we place the second vector. So this vector and this vector are to be the equal. Therefore, this plus this is nothing but this plus this. So if this is the Ry, it is equal to this one. This is also the Ry vector. So this vector plus this vector will be which one? As I said, join the tail of the first with the head of the last. This is the tail of the first, this is the head of the last. We just joined that one. So Rx vector plus Ry vector, if joined, that is not your the R vector, students? Yes. So this R vector will be your the Rx vector plus a Ry vector. Are you clear to my student? If a vector is there and you have to make it see the resolution, what you have to do? And that vectors from the head, you have to draw the perpendiculars. Suppose we will go for your the second explanation. Say this is your the one vector. So for this one vector, you have to draw the perpendiculars upon your the plane. Suppose we have taken this is your the plane. So from the this point, you have to draw the this one, and on this side you have to draw your the this one. The two perpendiculars to be the drawn. One perpendicular on your the x axis, another perpendicular on your the y axis, and this is your the extension of your the y, that is the minus y, as I have seen on your the earlier your the some minutes above. Therefore, if this is your the R vector, then this one is its the one component and this one is its the another component. So this vector and these two vector will be its the two components. So this one will be directed in this direction, this one to be the directed in this direction. So this is not satisfying the triangle law for the vector addition. So this is its the x component, this is its the y component. The x component is known as your the horizontal component, that is known as your the horizontal component, that is your the horizontal component, and the y component is your the vertical component, vertical component. So, horizontal component and the vertical component. If the components are there, then we have to discuss what will be its the magnitude and how that vector to be the represent. So, next comes here the magnitude of component vectors. Magnitude of component vectors means this is your the y axis, this is your the x axis. We have taken a vector and its component you have to draw perpendicular and you have to draw a perpendicular. So, this is your the, suppose this is your the r vector and this will be your the rx and this will be your the ry. So, we have to find its magnitude. So, to find its the magnitude, let us name it A, B, C and your the D. Okay. So, if this vector makes certain angle of your the theta, I have taken the theta, that angle may be the alpha, beta, gamma, whatever you will choose. If this angle will be the theta, then its magnitude along your the x axis and along the y axis, it can be determined from its the triangle formation. Let us now find what will be the magnitude of your the component of a vector. And if the vector is your the r, that is your the AB vector, then we have to find what will be its the magnitudes of that component. You see, now ABC triangle ABC. In this triangle ABC, AC is the vector and without the arrow mark, that AC will be its the magnitude. So, in the triangle ABC, then you can say cos theta is equals to B by your the H, means cos means that is the base by your the hypotenuse. So, base is which one? This is the base. Base is your the AC by hypotenuse is your the AB vector with its the mod. So, this is equals to implies cos theta is equals to AC and the magnitude of the AB vector means the magnitude of the R vector. R vector value will be your the R by your the AB, this is your the AC and AB vector mod, that is equals to your the R. This implies AC is equals to your the R cos theta. AC will be your the R cos theta. This is your the AC. So, that AC which I have written earlier, AC is its the x component, because that is along your the x axis, this is the x component, along the y axis, that we have to find what will be the y component. So, in the triangle of the ABC. Now, if we go for your the triangle of the ADB, in the triangle of your the ADB, you see this is your the theta and this is the perpendicular, means that is equal to your the 90. So, this angle automatically will be your the 90 minus theta, and if this is the 90 minus theta, then this is your the 90 degree, and if this angle is theta, this angle is automatically your the theta, and this angle will be your the 90 minus of your the theta. So, in the triangle of the ADB, you have to find sin theta. The question comes, sir, here you have find the value of the cos theta, sir, why you have gone there for your the sin theta? You see, if this is your the triangle of ADB, not you have to say ABD triangle, because in the right angle triangle, the right angle means the 90 degree named should be remain at the middle. So, ADB or you can say BDA, but not your the ABD. ABD will be the triangle, no doubt, but that will not consider as your the right angle triangle. So, in this right angle triangle, if this is the theta, this angle will automatically theta. In the second way, these two are your the parallel, this is your the intersection. So, this angle if theta, this angle is your the automatically theta. If this angle will alpha, this angle will be the automatically alpha. So why we have taken the sign here? You see the sign of your the right angle triangle is equals to your the P by H. Here it is the base by hypotenuse. For the sine, that is equals to your the height by hypotenuse. Height by your the hypotenuse, because we are interested to find the value of your the AD. AD is which one? AD is the height, because this is your the base, this is your the hypotenuse, and this is your the height. We are interested for your the AD. Therefore, we have chosen for your the sin theta. Suppose you will take your the value of the cos theta here. If you will take the value of the cos theta, what will the value of the cos theta? Base by your the hypotenuse, means BD by your the AB. You see, BD and your the AC, they must be the same. AC value is already determined. Therefore, there is no need to find the value of the BD. So we are interested for your the AD. So this height will be your the AD in this triangle, and hypotenuse will be your the AB. And this implies AD is equals to your the AB sin theta, and that implies AD is the y component of a vector r. Here AC is your the x component of the vector r. So that is equals to the Rx. If it is the AC vector, then we have to given the Rx vector. Though this is the AD is only the magnitude. Therefore, that is the Ry vector mod, or simply that is equals to the Ry. That is equals to your the r sin theta. So Rx will be your the r cos theta, Ry is equals to your the r sin theta. So the x component, this is your the x component, and this is your the y component. X component and your the y component. Are you clear to my student? The x component is your the cos function, y component is your the sin function. If you remember in this way, then there is a dilemma. To avoid that one, I will give you some examples, then I will clear in which way you have to remember. This is a vector. It makes the angle of your the alpha. It makes the angle of the alpha. This is your the x axis, this is your the y axis. So you have to draw the perpendicular, you have to draw the perpendicular for its the component. This angle is your the alpha. You see, earlier we have taken this angle is your the theta. So with the alpha, it makes the angle of this one. Means for this one, the component, if this is the A, B, this is the C, this is the D, this is it's the base vector which is making the angle. So for this one, this will be your the A, B cos alpha, and this one will be your the A, B sin alpha. And if this is the alpha, what is this value automatically? Are you answering? This will be the 90 minus alpha. If we go for the earlier figure, this is the vector, it makes the angle of the theta, and this is its component, this is the component. This component is your the r cos theta. Instead of the theta, here we have taken the angle with the alpha. So, but if we will compare these two figures, if this angle is theta, then this angle is how much for this example? That is 90 minus alpha. If we will put the formula of this one, r cos theta, but the theta is not provided here, here alpha is provided. So, for that theta, the value is your the 90 minus alpha. So, for this theta, you have to put 90 minus alpha. So, cos 90 minus alpha is how much? That is the sin alpha. Means this is equals to your the r sin alpha. You see, this is equals to your the r sin alpha, because this is your the AB, or which is your the r vector. This is your the r sin alpha. So, if we remember that the x axis component will be always your the cos function, that is your the misconception. So, you see this is the x axis, here also this is the x axis, but here it is the sine function, but here it is your the earlier this was your the cos function, but now it is your the sine function. So, how you have to remember? You have to remember that the angle which is provided by that vector with which axis it is making, with which axis it is making, along that axis the component is always your the cos function. Here the earlier axis, the axis with which it makes angle theta, therefore, the component will be your the r cos theta. And here you see this is your the alpha which makes the angle with the y axis. Therefore, that y axis component will be your the cos function. Here it was your the cos function, here it is your the cos function. Are you clear to my students? Let me give you lastly, if a vector makes certain angle with which axis, along that axis the component is always your the cos function. Always it will be the cos function, and the another one will be it's the sine function. These are the two examples for that one. So, if that vectors are to be represented in your the unit vector form, that components in the unit vector form, this is your the vector, this is its perpendicular, this is its the perpendicular, this is your the r vector, this is your the rx vector, this is your the ry vector. So, this rx vector to be expressed in terms of its the unit vector form, means as I discussed today that how a vector to be represented in the unit vector. You know a vector means magnitude with direction. So, the magnitude part and that to be multiplied with its the direction, and that direction is its the unit vector. The unit vector is represented with your the cap. Now, you go for your the rx vector. This is your the rx vector. So, rx it is a vector, it is a vector. A vector is how much? Its magnitude with its the direction, and its magnitude means this is the rx vector. What is its magnitude? That is its the rx. So, rx vector magnitude is your the rx, with its the unit vector in which axis it is, along the x axis. This is your the x axis, this is the y axis. Along the x axis, which one is the unit vector? Along the x axis, unit vector is your the I cap. Along the y axis, that is your the j cap. Along the z axis, that is your the k cap. Means I j k, I j j k, I j k. How they are present? They are mutually perpendicular to each other. This is I j k. If this is the I cap one, this is the j cap, this is the k cap. I j, they are perpendicular, j k, they are perpendicular, I k, they are perpendicular. You will ask me, sir, I with the j or the j with I, it looks like the perpendicular, but the I with the k or the j with the k or k with the j, k with the I, sir, that is not looks like the perpendicular. I explained it earlier, because where we have drawn the diagram, that is your the plane one. But this ijk, that is your the 3D. A plane is always your the 2 dimension, but ijk, that is your the 3 dimension. So, a 3 dimensional picture cannot be plotted clearly as per its the construction in your the 2 dimensional one. So, though this is the 2 dimensional, the 3 dimensional cannot never to be the placed, but we have to thought that I, j, k, they are the perpendicular to each other. Therefore, rx vector will be the rx with its the unit vector with your the r cap. Similarly, students, you write yourself ry vector will be how much? That is equals to its magnitude, that is the ry, with its the direction, that is the unit vector. You see ry is along y axis. Along y axis, the unit vector is your the j cap. So ry with your the j cap. So rx vector rxi cap, ry vector ry j cap. So now what will be your the r vector? As we discussed, r vector is the original vector. That original vector is split into how many parts? Two parts. One is the rx, another one is the ry vector. So this r vector is rx vector plus ry vector. So this rx vector will be the rx with your the I cap, and this will be the ry with your the j cap. So this rx I cap plus ry j cap will be your the r vector. So this is according to its the unit vector form. This is for your the two dimensional one. Similarly, you can take it for your the three dimensional. If this is a vector, rx vector, ry vector, they must have its the magnitudes. Means if this is the angle, suppose that angle will be the alpha, then the direction of that one can also be determined. You see, if you find the direction of your the rx1, because a vector having the magnitude which is the direction. So what will the direction here? To find the direction, we will to go for your the value of your the alpha. So in this triangle, as we have taken the name of the triangle A B C D. So in the triangle A C B, the tan alpha will be your the P by your the B. Tan is equals to your the P by your the B, means BC by your the AC. So this is equals to the BC by your the AC. So if we take the BC by AC, then tan alpha is equals to that one. But for the determination of the angle, then cos alpha will be your the AC B by your the H will be your the AB. So this cos alpha is equals to, this means alpha is equals to cos inverse of AC. You see what is your the AC? You see this AC is the magnitude. That magnitude is equals to the Rx. So AC is equals to the Rx by your the AB. AB is equals to your the R vector, means R vector mod. So this is equals to your the alpha of the cos inverse Rx by your the R vector mod. Similarly, if we will go for the angle with your the y axis and your the z axis, the same way cos inverse for your the angle beta, that is equals to ry by your the r vector mod. And if we will go for your the three dimensional one, then that is the cos inverse of rz by your the r vector mod. Are you clear, my students? One thing you have to determine, in the same way the other components can be your the determined. As we determine for the direction of your the that component vector Rx vector, that angle, suppose this is equals to your the alpha, then this alpha will means tan alpha is equals to BC by your the AC. So what is your the BC? You see this is the BC, means this is your the AD, and the BC is nothing but it's the y component, and that y component of your the BC, that is equals to your the Ry BC, and this is equals to the AC. You see AC is it's the component of your the AC vector, means that is equals to your the Rx. So alpha is equals to your the Ry by your the Rx, you can also write, or alpha is equals to your the cos inverse of Rx by your the R vector, that you can also write. But the difference between these two is what? The magnitude is same, but what is the difference between these two? We are going to find the direction in terms of the components. The components are here the Rx and the Ry. You see Rx and the Ry are present here. Here the Rx is present, but here it is in terms of the R. So it should be in terms of the Rx and the Ry. If Rx and the Ry are there, then what will be the value of here the R? The two components, if Rx and Ry are there, then what will be the value of the R? This is your the x axis, y axis, these are the components. if this is your the Rx vector, this is your the Ry vector, this is your the R vector. This R vector to be in terms of the Rx and Ry. This R vector to be in terms of Rx and your the Ry. How? So, if this is the Rx vector, this is automatically Rx vector. This is the Ry vector, this is automatically your the Ry vector. This is a right angle triangle, this is its the hypotenuse. So, you can say R vector mod is equals to square root of base square plus height square. You know h square is equals to b square plus p square, that one. So, here only h will be root over of the b square plus p square. B means here the base is equals to Rs vector, that's magnitude square means Rx square, and this is equals to your the P means the perpendicular, that is equals to the Ry vector mod square means that is equals to Ry square. So, this implies R is equals to root over of Rx square plus Ry square. So, if we put the value of the R here, then that is equals to the cos inverse of Rx by root over of your the Rx square plus Ry square. So, either remember in this way or you can remember in this way. So, this is the magnitude and the direction of your the component of the vectors in terms of its the unit vectors. So, if we go for your the screen, you are looking that if a triangle is provided, that triangle is your the having its the components as your the Ax and your the Ay, and the vector is your the A vector. There we have taken your the R vector, here it is your the A vector. Only the change in its the name, but there is no change in its the symbol. You see on its the right hand side, if the theta is the angle between them, then what are the two components are here? One component is your the Ax I cap, another one is the Ay j cap. Though I have taken that is the Rx I cap and Ry j cap. And for your the second one, if we go for its the direction or its the components, either you will remember the value of the sin theta or in terms of your the cos theta. If you remember in terms of the sin theta, Ay is equals to A sin theta, and that is just the reverse of that one, that is equals to A cos theta for your the Ax and the A sin theta for your the Ay. And for the magnitude, A will be your the Ax square plus Ay square root over. You see the R is equals to root over of the Rx square plus Ry square, and the theta is equals to tan inverse Ay by your the x, and there we have determined theta alpha is equals to tan inverse of the Ry by your the Rx. And if we go for your the 3-dimensional structure, and this is your the 3-dimensional structure. In the 3-dimensional structure, it to be divided into the 3 components. One will be see the Ax, Ay and your the Az, and if it is the resultant will be your the summation of your the Ax vector plus Ay vector plus Az vector, and in terms of the unit vector, that will be your the Ax I cap, Ay j cap, Az k cap. So, if it is the 3-dimensional one, for your the R vector, for the R vector, that is equals to Rx I cap plus Ry j cap plus Rz k cap. So, this is about your the resolution of the vector. Let us now go for your the some numericals. Number 1, find the unit vector of 10 Newton along x axis. Suppose the unit vector of 10 Newton along x axis. So, 10 Newton means it is a unit of the force. So, force it is a vector, means its magnitude F is equals to your the 10, and you have to find the unit vector along the x axis. So, along the x axis, which one is the unit vector? We know vector is equals to magnitude with its the direction, and that direction I said repeatedly, that is your the unit vector. So, find the unit vector of the 10 Newton along your the x axis. So, along the x axis, that vector will be the 10I. That vector will be the 10I because its magnitude which is the unit vector of your the I. So, and to find its the unit vectors. So, to find the unit vector's magnitude means unit vector I cap is equals to which one? The same vector by same vector mod. So, if the vector is which one? The vector mod is also the same one because you see the vector is your the 10 by your the 10. So, 10 by 10 that is equals to your the 1. So, the unit vector is equals to your the I cap. So, if the question is for the same one, find the unit vector along x axis which makes angle 30 degree with y axis, which makes angle 30 degree with the y axis. Means suppose x axis, y axis. Question is find the unit vector along your the x axis which makes the angle with the y axis. This is the force, that is your the 10 Newton. The question is it makes the angle 30 degree with y axis. It makes 30 degree with the y axis, and along the x axis that angle will be the 60 degree. So, by taking this 60 degree you have to find its the unit vector. Suppose the component, this will be its the x component, this will be its the y component. The x component will be the rx cos theta and one will be the ry sin theta. So, with this it makes the angle of the theta, and along your the x axis it makes the angle of the 60. So, that angle of the 60 your cos theta will be the cos 60, not that is the 30 as I said, because this is the 30, but along the x axis it makes the angle of the 60. So, that is equals to rx of your the cos 60. Rx means the magnitude will be the 10 components magnitude you have to find, that magnitude with your the cos 30. Cos 30 is equals to the 1 by 2, and that will be the r cos theta. R value is equals to how much? That is the 10. So, 10 into of the cos 60, that is equals to the 5. And if we go along your the y axis, that is equals to your the r sin theta. R sin theta means r is equals to 10 and theta is how much? Here it is your the 30 degree. So, sin 30 degree. So, sin 30 degree means it makes the sin 30 will be what angle? That is equals to your the root 3 by your the 2. Now, you take the 5 root 3 and you take it to the square, then ultimately you will find it the answer. So, this is your the resolution of the vectors in terms of its the unit vectors, and other different questions are also there. If the 3 unit vectors are given and their total vector will be this one, how will you find? Just to add your the that 3 unit vectors, and that will give it the total answer. Thank you very much, students.